You wouldn't be in this. We're going to that cycle now. And it is hard. Right now, I read an article today that housing is going to drop another 17% in LA. I'm taking an issue with that. I don't think that's an effective forecasting, because I've been house hunting for almost 8 months, and I don't see the prices dropping like that. So, strategy forecasting is extremely important. I'll give you an example. You have to shift. Like I see in classes, you run one approach and it's not working. You have to quickly change. So I have always had issue with evaluation of the course at the end. It's been over the years. Every classes we teach, you always evaluate your faculty at the end. And I always had issue with that, because how do I know? And they always tell us, oh, make sure you don't ask for feedback, because they might think it's privacy, or they think the grade is going to be affected before the end. But how good is when you evaluate when it's over? I mean, how can somebody improve or change if they don't know? And that's has been an issue over the years. And many times in the past I said, faculty have to be evaluated in the middle of the semester, then another one at the end. Same thing we do with a student. Why shouldn't it be the other way around? It's not fair. You're a student, we give you assignment, you have a chance to improve, and I'm going to do that with you. And I think that's another effective way of you do assignment, and you have a chance to get feedback, make improvement. So those good leaders, if they can forecast and figure out, and you have to shift your strategy. Right now, as I said, the company that I'm running, I have to shift strategy. This company is mainly organized conferences. Now things have changed. We are more on publication side. So last night, I sent out 2 proposals going and sponsoring other conferences, and I wrote that our organization is shifting the strategy because the need has changed. And for us, because organizing conferences, see right now, my time is more devoted. I came here. Before I came here, when I was at my last place of employment, I had no time. Now here, I have to build these classes. I came here. That's my first priority here. So I had to shift the strategy of the organization. When I was there, I had time to organize conferences because I spent very little time in classes. My classes, some of the classes was online, plus I had the material, done those. Now here, so I had to do what? In order for the company that I am running not to go under, I had to shift strategy. I'm frantically looking to sponsor other conferences, Colin, because I don't have time to spend that much on this organization. And the conference is going to be next year. It takes a lot of time to organize a conference. But sponsoring another conference takes less time. We just put our name behind it. So that's a good example, personal good example of shifting a strategy. So manager, and you do this all the time. As a student, what do? You have to focus. You go in and you don't come and say, oh God, I did bad. What can I do to improve? I want A. Don't tell me you want A. I know everybody else. How are you going to shift your strategy? If you're giving me a stuff, and you have to know at every situation, you have to adapt and change. If you're giving an assignment that you're not correcting your references or giving the stuff, even though I repeat, if you're giving the same thing, you have not shifted your strategy. So, but if you shift your strategy and you know what is expected out of you, then you're going to improve. So, the strategy shifting, the strategy planning, forecasting is the most important thing that all of us, as a manager or non-manager, have to do, because that affects us all. So, all of these things, I'll set it aside, and see, this is my contribution. That's what I'm hoping, as I said, we will have from you. So any question on some important aspect of leader? Personally, I think it's none of above, and if I was going to give exam, that's what I would put there, and it's strategy forecasting. The rest of this thing, I think, is a little bit more easier. Hiring, you always as a manager, you have to hire. It's pretty standard. You have to have job analysis, job description, job specification. And here, if you want to hire someone that this is the job task, and these are the things you have to be looking for the person. But if You want to hire somebody that have to make calls. They have to be self-started, optimistic, independent. But again, very easy to understand the slide, but not so easy to do it in life. So what I'm looking again, those are which team is working on hiring. So if you give this stuff to me from other sources, again, that's a B. I'm telling you. I'm looking at finding, something that is really and innovative, thinking outside of the box. How do you really find a good employee? How do you find? How do you figure out? And I've seen, again, I've been looking, and I asked my assistants to find us from other sources. I look, these are very standard things. Everybody knows those are standard. And somehow it's not working. Somehow we still don't have very good employees. Somehow we still don't have very good organizations. Something is not working completely. They're good, but they're not. So I'm looking for that wow type of organization or company that does an innovative way of hiring an hiring an effective person. Next step, you do job analysis. You plan an effective interview. And we talked about interviewing. It was last week, I think we talked about interview. You have serious question, you ask, you put candidate in hypothetical situation. Again, what are problems with this? These are, again, all basic standard information for an effective interview. I'm looking, who's doing that? Who's doing interviewing? Who is working on, which team is working on? Anybody working on interviewing? Or you're not in your resume? So your final assignment, some team have to working on interviewing. I'm looking, when you do there's something more effective. Again, these are really standard, but how many interviews you have gone that has been boring? Again, I'll read a lot of these resources. Now issue. I said, how come there is not one that tell us, some more innovative ways of interview? How many interviews you have gone to, or you're probably going to go that you're going to be bored to death, and they're going to have all these standard questions they're going to ask you. Tell me about yourself, Where are you going to be in 5 years? Oh God, in 5 years, I definitely don't want to be here, sitting in front of you, asking me these stupid questions. They have list of questions, and it's okay, you have gone to the seminar, that's what resources we have. That's what is the problem with our resources, because they are so standard. They don't make us think, over the years, hasn't changed. If you read something about interview now, and you read it 5 years ago, still the same thing. These books that I'm reading are giving us the same thing. Ask this type of question. Don't ask that type of question. Why is it that? How come after all these years, how come other things are changing, but this stuff are not changing? And I have questions with that. When technology is changing so much, you buy laptop you bought 5 years ago is different now. How come this stuff is not changing? How come evaluation of people has not changed over the years? How come, our classes are still, after all these years, 3-hour classes are 3 hours classes. We have to do certain things. How come this stuff hasn't changed? These are stuff, I'm hoping for you to think outside of the box. And why? Why hasn't changed? As I said, I looked for this class. I spent time this summer to look this class, and I've got like 10 or 12 different books, and I'll put some of those books on WebCT. The problem with all these books are they're standard stuff. They are very basic information, and they all say, if you read 3 or 4 interview books, they all kind of tell you what? Pretty much same thing. They revised it, and I gave you a good example of revising is you buy one book, says leader have to keep his eyes on the future. Another book you buy, references leader have to be visionary. Wow, this, but it still is the same thing. So they're writing, they come up, the guy said, okay, I'm going to write a book tonight. I'm going to write a book. And they're right, and they're all basically the same.